here's what happened. Your mind could be pinballing all over the place as you're working on your business. That there could be these questions that keep coming up of, can you handle either the growth that's happening or the challenges that are happening? And then even another question can come up of like, is it worth staying in the game? Because you may have really started now to doubt that initial vision you had for how you feel like this business is going to turn out, how it's going to be able to support your own quality of life. And that can create what I call these tornado thoughts. That these tornado thoughts, you can go down them, and that's where the doubt can build. This, stress. You can feel the stress, and I call them these pressure balloons that can fill up with stress in the body. Is how you can imagine it. But all that over a long period of time can lead to then chronic stress. And then from there, the first red flag of burnout, which is chronic exhaustion. I don't want you to have to get to the point where you're hitting burnout, because it comes with a lot of that unnecessary suffering and pain along the way. And so I go back to inner peace. And then there's this talk of, figuring out your purpose. And you could be right now questioning the purpose for yourself of what that is and this path that you're moving on as you're working on your business. So for me, I think of inner peace in the past as this emptiness. That's how I would think about it as my belief towards what inner peace was. But now for my belief, how I feel into inner peace is more being on the same team with my body. And I want to get into explaining more about that to help you navigate what could be coming up with these tornado thoughts, so that you can actually move faster towards what it is that you want that for this vision with the business, as well as in your own quality of life. And then to stop holding yourself back in so many different ways. When it comes back to feeling that stress, it can cause you to stay stuck. And I want to help give you that gift for yourself, to give yourself that gift, to be able to move forward and continue to put in the reps. This is Make Burnout Extinct. I'm Rob David Weeks. Thank you for being here. Welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. And if you haven't done it yet, you can subscribe and follow the show for the latest episodes. I really get excited with this commitment I have made through this show of sharing with you what it really takes to make burnout extinct. And how I define making burnout extinct is, well, first, let me define burnout for you. I define it as a major life transition that is forced on you by your body. That's my definition of it. In the context of business, that is having to close down the business or let go of the business because you cannot handle for your body, you don't have that capacity to either handle the growth or the challenges that are happening. But both of those can make you feel stressed. And then over time, it goes back to what I talked about, over time that leads to then the chronic stress. And then from there, it can go towards the one-way ticket to hitting burnout. And so when I look at all that, it's like, okay, avoid that. And then, well, what is make burnout extinct? And I connect it back to unlocking your limitless potential. And I know that's like a big, like, what the hell does that actually mean, dude? So when I get into the specifics of it, it's being satisfied in the effort that you've put out in the day and realizing that you're capable of more. It's eliminating that chronic stress that may be starting to build for the stress over time, and then feeling more energized than drained in your day. It's being able to have that time to spend with what and who you care about, rather than letting the resentment build. And so those are a few ways of how, when I reflect on what make burnout extinct means, and then, the unlock your limitless potential, that's my belief when it comes to that for you. And that's how I feel into that. And so it comes back to recognizing that there is no one right way, but there is a right way for you. It's such a powerful quote that I learned, who I learned a lot from, John Butcher, who's the founder of Lifebook. I really resonate with figuring out your right way. And that's really important as I share these different strategies, habits, belief changes that you can make for changing which belief is in the driver's seat of your life. It's figuring out what resonates for you. And we'll get into that a little bit later with a technique that you can try. But let's dive into it for today. Today, I want to talk about how to stop holding yourself back. And my belief is that can lead to then inner peace. And so it's important for me to go back to the definition for what I believe inner peace is, because originally for my belief was, oh, it's this emptiness. But what came up for me with that emptiness is that can be really boring. It doesn't feel very fulfilling to me if it's just this empty like cave. Is how you can like think about or feel into that. And so since starting my first business over a decade ago and having gone through my burnout back in 2018 after a social media conference where 500 people came together, uh, I realized that you can have those moments that come up of inner peace. And then it's realizing that you're going to have the ebbs and flows of life, the ups and downs, however else you want to like feel into that. It happens. And so it's recognizing what with the inner peace, what I believe it is being on the same team with your body, not realizing you're not in war with yourself or at war with yourself, but your body's there to support you. The nearly 40 trillion cells are there to help bring into reality what it is that you want. Because your body's constantly communicating with you, especially as you're working on your business. It's letting you know what's needed. And I think one of the most I believe one of the most important skills you can master as an entrepreneur is the skill of communication with your body. Understanding and listening to what your body's trying to communicate to you, and then adapting on a habit level, and then even deeper than that on a belief system level. Because if you stop holding yourself back, I realize that in my own life, all areas of life can improve. Then when you feel like you're making progress and you're growing, that's how I connect to feeling more fulfilled. Because there's this talk of like reach your full potential, like this end destination, like once I get here, I've made it. That comes up. But I think about it as that peak that people talk about, where it's like, okay, you got to reach the peak. Well, then what happens once you hit the peak? You're either going to go down the mountain or you're going to go to the next peak. So it's going to be this path is how I connect to it. Where if I'm on the path of growth and on the path of making progress, then for me, that's how I connect to not only feeling more fulfilled, but then also connecting more to that peace internally, where I'm actually accepting like this is the path I'm on and I'm moving towards that. And then what happens is then the doubt doesn't build up as much. I don't feel as stressed. It doesn't mean it's not there. It comes up with moments of growth because as you're growing and getting into these new unknowns, that can create uncertainty. And so for your nervous system, it wants to keep you safe, and it could take that as a perceived threat. And that's where you can feel stressed. And imagine it, you notice that for the body signal, it's pressure that can come up when you feel stressed. And then you can imagine this like balloon filling up with stress in the body. And your body has a certain amount of capacity to handle and hold the stress, these pressure balloons. But if you are not actively figuring out ways to release the stress out, which can come back to the habits, to changing which beliefs are in the driver's seat of your life, then one of the ways body will force that stress to be released is hitting burnout. And that's absolutely something I want you absolutely to avoid. So now I have to go down that path. And so let me connect to then the feeling. I think that's going to be really helpful to go to the feeling of it and then share with you some questions that you can reflect on. And then even before that, I want to go through the technique to connect back to what resonates for you. And so it's called the Truth Anchor Technique. And if you've done this before, you know the drill. If you haven't, it's figuring out what resonates for you. And then how you do that is by repeating your name 3 times by saying, my name is, and then noticing where you feel the vibration of your voice. Because that's a truthful statement for you. So it's something that's true to you. And then whenever you can get shooted on a lot by other people of you should try this strategy or should try this habit or should try this for your purpose, whatever, or you should have this definition for this word or this belief. And even I can do that of sharing with you what's going on for me. But I want you to be able to filter all of that through what actually resonates for you. So if you like, depending on what you got going on right now, I like to put a hand on my stomach, hand on my chest. You can do that too. And then we're going to repeat. You can repeat your name 3 times. We'll do it together. And then notice where you feel that vibration. And then you may have to do this a few more times if this is your first time doing it. I know it may sound weird to go through this process. I get it. But it's really important to connect back to like, this is a signal from the body communicating with you. And it's noticing because the vibration can be all over the body, but where do you notice it the most for the vibration? So here we go. Let's repeat it 3 times. My name is Robert David. My name is Robert David. My name is Robert David. Where I notice that is in my chest for the voice vibration, for the most intense. And so now we can, we're going to reset. So you bring your awareness down to your toes, wiggle your toes, bring the awareness up to the calves, inner thighs, stomach, arms up, raise them up, and then swipe left like a day nap, get that energy out, and reset. Now what you can do is then to provide a contrast, it's repeating a made-up name 3 times and then noticing where you feel the vibration of your voice the most. You may even feel it like out, behind your head. I know that might sound weird if you haven't heard that before, but that can happen too. And you may have to repeat this a few times. So again, if you'd like, you put a hand on your stomach, a hand on your chest, and then I'm going to pick Fred for the name. So here we go. My name is Fred. My name is Fred. My name is Fred. All right, let's do it one more time. 3 times here. My name is Fred. My name is Fred. My name is Fred. Where I notice that is back ahead, even like my neck. And so that doesn't resonate for me. And that's helpful, again, with strategies or habits or belief changes that you're making for what's in the driver's seat of your life. Connecting to like, okay, if I feel that when I think, do I resonate with this? And I notice that I feel it more for me in the back of the neck, then okay, I'm not going to waste my time and my energy or my money in that area. And that's what's really powerful is like, this can help you to avoid having to waste all of that. And then similarly, if something does resonate, I ask myself, okay, does it resonate? If I can feel that in my chest, then I know, let me explore this and then see what happens. So this is a great technique to just use in general for yourself to help you filter out there's so much information that's out there. And there's a lot of different opinions out there for what you should do. And it's really important to recognize that you got to filter all that through what is going to be your right way. All right, now let me get into the feeling. This one, the past few days, I have been thinking about it, feeling into it for what comes up of how to connect to this inner peace. Like being able to remind myself that I'm on the same team with my body. And it's moments when I can get really present in what I'm experiencing. So it could be being present with a workout. It could be present doing a recording like this for you. It could be stepping up on stage, speaking in front of a group. But in those moments where I'm super present and in there, that is connected to this gnawing feeling. So you might be able to relate to this in some way, but I let me use the workout for the example. So especially after my burnout back, in 2018, after the social media conference where 500 people came together, I really struggled with my health and fitness. I put that off. That can happen a lot when you're working on your business is you ignore your health because you want to focus on the growth of the business. The issue is that your life's interconnected. And so if one area is a struggle, then it's going to move into it's going to affect all these other areas. And similarly, if you are able to put energy into one area, it could then transfer out to all these other areas of life. And I think about that with health and fitness. My belief is that by focusing on my health and fitness, all the other areas benefit from there. That's something I learned again from John Butcher. And I noticed that in my own life by feeling more energized, by literally moving, producing more energy, feeling more energized. I can then channel that energy back into the work, have a new level of thinking when it comes to dealing with challenges. That's super helpful to avoid wasting a lot of the time, energy, and money. So this gnawing feeling has come up recently, right before getting into an intense workout. There's this moment, I think about if it's group classes where it's like a HIIT training style workout, or if you're doing, another form of cardio, but something that's really intense. What happens is I notice this gnawing feeling that can come up in my stomach where it's that decision that's made, and sometimes it's not made consciously, the decision of letting go, of letting your body support you so that you can focus your attention towards what the hell is going on. If that's the exercises to the moment. And that reminds me, going back to what I believe inner peace is, which is that my body's on my team there. I'm not constantly looking over my shoulder. I'm not feeling like I'm in battle and at war with my body, but it's recognizing that it's there to support me, the nearly 40 trillion cells. Because in the past, I would feel like I was in battle with my body. I would feel super angry at myself of like, dude, why can't you just move forward, make the call, send the message, take the opportunity, go for it. But it's recognizing that there are patterns. Similar to the sunrise, sunset, your body has patterns. And so you've been familiar with certain patterns that may not be serving you any longer. But it doesn't mean that you're in this battle with your body. It's just understanding that this is how the pattern's been, and now you want to change it. And it's time to have that conversation and communicate with your body and recognize that these changes are there. So for that feeling, it's like letting go. And then, you think about it at the end of an intense workout, it's like you can like taste the blood in your mouth. It's like when it gets that intense, and something satisfying in that, of the release of this energy. I mean, you got endorphins that can be released in the body. And this, you just feel, you feel alive and you feel really energized. Or you can also feel very exhausted too at the same time. So I connect to this feeling of aliveness, of both that exhausting feeling, terrifying feeling, energizing feeling. That's all those different things. But that comes back to recognizing that this gnawing feeling, I noticed it was not just in the workouts. Like it was also in the work that I'm doing with, if it's recording here with you, or I noticed it with getting content posted. Like I could connect back to that feeling of having to make the decision to let go. And at times I didn't let go. And so that's where I can feel stressed, feel that doubt building, the overwhelm. And that is where it can get chaotic. But then I come back to this reminder for the belief of inner peace, of what that is. It's reminding myself that my body's on my team. And so then that can create multiple moments of inner peace. And then it's coming back to this recognizing that with growth, there's going to come uncertainty. And so that is where I am going to experience the doubt. I am going to experience some overwhelm, some of that stress. All of those are there as body signals. And it's for me to listen to what those body signals are communicating to me and then adapt on a habit level and then a belief system level. But it's not to get pissed off and feel like I'm in battle with the signals. They're just there to give me the message. And so that has been such a powerful shift in beliefs for which one's in the driver's seat. And so what I want to do is ask you a few questions that you can give the space to reflect on for yourself, to help you to connect to this feeling even more in your own life as you're working on your business. So the first one is, has there been any of these moments that you've noticed the gnawing signal? Was it at a concert? Was it at a certain something you were doing in the business? Was it either getting on stage for a big talk? Was it a client conversation one-on-one? Launching something new? When have you experienced that gnawing feeling, and then of the letting go and of that trust? And it doesn't have to be for a long period of time, but like, where do you connect to that? Because it's when you can understand that feeling and that signal, that help. I go back to this: the more you understand, the less fear grows. And so, just in understanding, it helps a lot to avoid wasting time, a lot of time and energy. Next question you can reflect on: where in your life are you currently holding back because of fears, because of these beliefs that have limited you and kept you held back? There might be like one specific area that's coming up for you, maybe a few. Maybe you're like, man, I missed that opportunity last week, that, or I've been pushing off sending this email out, or making the call, or having the hard conversation. Because I can tell you, it's not worth it to hold yourself back from what it is that you want, and I know how much you care about the people that you were serving and supporting through your business, and then how much you care about the people in your life. But it's really important to give yourself that space to also care about you and your body. So it's understanding where you're holding yourself back. And then from there, the last question I want to ask you is, what would it feel like if you trusted your body and just went all in? It doesn't mean going all in without a plan. It doesn't mean going in all the time. But it means, what could happen if I go a little bit more than I am now? What would that feel like for trusting my body? Right? There could be openness, feeling of lightness. There might even be a feeling of constraint. It might be like trying to catch your breath, like, whew, okay, whoa, shit. Like, this would be wild. But what could that be like? All right, let's bring our awareness on down to our toes. We're gonna wiggle the toes, get a reset. Bring awareness up to the legs, calves, thighs, stomach, chest. Raise your arms up, and then swipe left. Get that energy out. What's helpful to remember with this is that the feeling of letting go, let's say relating to the workout, you're letting go in the workout, that same feeling is available in the business as you're working on it, in your relationships. Like, it's there. It doesn't just stay isolated to one area, because life is interconnected. And so momentum can compound across all these different areas. And when you recognize that your body is your teammate in this, it's not something to be in battle with, that goes back to, it helps to avoid then a lot of wasted time, energy, and money on opportunities that don't resonate for you. But because of the fears or these limiting beliefs come up, that is where you feel you pressure yourself to go into those directions. That could be where it's like the shortcuts, or I'm going to start doubting that this is actually the right path to be on, or I see a shiny object over there, so I'm going to go for it with how my mind pinballs all over the place. It's coming back as a habit, connecting back to these moments where you feel present, and then understanding what is the pattern for the body. What's happening for the feeling? Where do you feel that? Or for the feeling, where is that in the body for the feeling? That gnawing feeling? It could be something a little bit different for you. But it's just continuously connecting. And with the more repetitions, I know it may sound simple and kind of a little weird, but the more repetitions comes back to the more you understand, less fear grows. And so the more you understand about your body, about the patterns, about these signals, less fear grows. And then that is where you can, going back to the old belief I had with inner peace, this emptiness, that emptiness is there, but it's actually how What I believe it represents is this open capacity within your body to then handle more of the growth, more of the challenges. And the purpose is to continue to be on this path of growth. That's my belief. And so then, yes, I have goals and the vision, and I'm working towards those. But it comes back to, am I satisfied in the effort that I put out in the day? And then from there, I come back to realizing I'm capable of more. But it's both. And I really, during the moments where I start to doubt that, because it happens for me. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect either. We're gonna have our off days. But when that doubt can creep in, I'm reminded of this really powerful principle that I want to share with you. Coming back to this limitless potential. It's the principle of immense potential, which states that you have more potential within you than you could ever develop in your lifetime. And so true fulfillment comes from being on this path of developing your potential. Which, how I connect to that is the recognizing that this path of growth is where I experience the most fulfillment. By being on that path, not holding myself back, noticing what I can discover about myself, noticing what I can discover about this work in the business, in the relationships, in my health and fitness, that is where I can experience more fulfillment. If you haven't heard it yet today, I want to tell you, I believe in you. You have the capabilities to be able to master this skill of communication with your body. As I said before, it's one of the most important skills that you can master as an entrepreneur. Your body is constantly communicating with you. It's up to you to listen and then get the message and adapt on a habit level, and then even deeper than that on a belief system level. You got this.